back to another edition of Research Fantasy presents our bargain bin for Wednesday, March 22nd, 2017. Last night was interesting to say the least. As I went to bed, Gorgie Jang had a 7.1 assist first quarter. I was very excited about this because it had been a while since he had been able to get going, and woke up to realize that that's all he was able to do in 33 minutes aside from fouling out of the game. I, at this point, don't know what more to say other than, he's kind of starting to fall into the position where he's no longer someone that we can consider, which is depressing because he was very, very consistent to start the year. Typically matches up well against the Spurs, but just mentally is not there anymore. He's checked out, folks. I think that's what it comes down to. Denzel Valentine, despite having the opportunity to go into overtime, did not look like he wanted to play basketball, made a bunch of stupid mistakes. Minutes were there, production was not. Always frustrating to see something like that taking place. Somehow my ownership of him didn't end up as high as I thought it would be. I think a lot of it was offset by the one value play that actually did pay off last night, Spencer Dinwiddie, and I'd love to say that that's a great thing, and it was, but he was also like 29-30% owned, so that was just a keeping up with the Joneses play. It wasn't anything like, oh man, we really set ourselves apart as we could have, and really Valentine necessarily wasn't going to be like that. Jang would have been, but that's the issue with the value plays. You're taking a little bit of a risk, sometimes a lot of bit of a risk, and nothing's going to change tonight as the year heads to a close. Rotations are getting tightened, or the guys who would have been value plays like 2 weeks ago get priced up to the point where they're either might still be in that value range for us, but the production upside isn't there. So we're not really looking towards them, or they've been Tyler Eulis to the point where they're priced out of the ability to really play unless it's in a really strong matchup. So checking in to our module to see what it says. It likes Terrence Ross. Ersan Ilyasova still kind of qualifies for this. And folks, that's really it. The module tonight really favors playing Kenneth Faried. Kenneth Faried is another one it does like that's in a value tier. It looks like tonight's going to be more of a middle field, the mid-range type players, and hope that we could get the combos of players like Gordon Hayward, Jeff Teague, Al Horford to go 6-7, maybe higher X value. But there are still some value plays I like. The first is Skal Labissiere, finally getting the name right. Sacramento Kings forward center, 98 on Fantasy Draft, 42 FanDuel, 49 DraftKings. Kind of headed to the point on DraftKings where I'm a little nervous to want to take him. I do think his production most likely lies within the 20 to 25 point range, but he's shown some upside. The biggest problem with him is just the fact that you've got this rotation with Willie Cauley-Stein, and Georgios Papagiannis now, as well as still seeing minutes for Costa Koufis and Anthony Tolliver. It's just a real bad situation, but tournaments, this is where you kind of have to make your stand. A lot of players could look at that and say, you know what, I understand that he's going to be playing amongst four other guys. This is not the best use of my money. His ownership could be down. I'm not that frightened with Milwaukee because I don't believe Jason Kidd has any clue how to run a basketball team if he continues to give Greg Monroe like 22 minutes. I'm not expecting Monroe to play much more than that tonight. Jason Kidd is kind of like the devil when it comes to fantasy minutes right now. I think that Skal, has the upside, very athletic player, actually a pretty interesting matchup with Giannis. I think he should be able to do enough in the time he's given to pay off his salary. Let's move to Atlanta. Let's go with Thabo, Sefolosha. Shooting guard, small forward, 8,500 Fantasy Draft, 38 FanDuel, 43 DraftKings. Really love the price on FanDuel. I don't think a lot of players will be into him, again, because we have Ersan Ilyasova, we've got Walter Torian Prince on the same team who are seeing minutes, and the production could certainly be there for them. With that being said, Thabo is the veteran of the group. He's got mid-30 point upside. Doesn't get a lot of respect because his game isn't really flashy, but he's a 5-category contributor. Also will hit 3-point shots to get you that extra bonus on fantasy draft and DraftKings. Turnovers will be at a minimum, but he's known for just disappearing. So we've got that. We've seen games where he's just there completely defensively, and that could be the case tonight in a matchup with the Wizards, because they've got such potent wing players with guys like Bradley Beal and Otto Porter. I would assume that he's going to see more time on the floor because he is the top flight defender of the team. And again, it's just an attrition play. If he's going to see 33 minutes on the floor, that's going to give him increased opportunity, especially with Kent Bazemore and Paul Millsap out, to again contribute in 5 categories. So I think I'm going to have a pretty good amount of him in my tournaments. This last play is going to go like 3 different ways, okay? So Robin Lopez and Serge Ibaka got into a fight last night. All signs point to Lopez being suspended for this game. Okay, so first and foremost, if Lopez is suspended, my favorite play is Cristiano Felicio. Minimum price across the board on all sites. That's $6K fantasy draft, $3,500 FanDuel, $3K DraftKings. Probably only going to see like 25, 26 minutes. I think he could put up about a point per minute or maybe slightly less, but I think he's floored at about 20. His ceiling's probably about 27. I'm not going to complain about a guy who gets me almost 9x value. If the situation plays out that he's going to start tonight, I will probably have him a complete and total lock across the board on DraftKings, because you can have another center at the utility spot and really at the power forward spot if everything works out right. At the same time, not a value play, but Andre Drummond has to be really considered here too, because it's going to be a huge drop from Lopez to Felicio. I know people might not want to believe that, but it's a big enough drop that Drummond could see a much better opportunity. Except for the fact that last night he and Spencer Dinwiddie collided at the end of the game. He was removed from the game with like 4 minutes left to go, and one would have to assume that leaves his status questionable for tonight. If he's not able to play from Felicio, I would probably switch to Aaron Baines across the board, because Baines is more likely to get more actual minutes, and he's actually looked pretty good in his starting opportunity. So this is going to be a situation where I think you just need to look at the news wires as news are breaking. This game starts, unfortunately, at 8 p.m. I'm assuming we'll probably know Drummond is out before then. So until then, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Head over to researchfantasy.com. Sign up for our NBA mailing list. Head over to Facebook, like us there. Follow us on Twitter at Research and Win, and join us again tomorrow.